First question I have is, do you have a victory song? Do you have a victory song? See, when I was a kid, I watched this movie, Rocky, and Eye of the Tiger became my victory song. How many of you are with me on that one? How many of you, yeah. You just hear that song going, right? And then you just start running. Give me up those steps, right? Then I saw Karate Kid. And You're the Best, all right? Like I started, getting excited. See, victory songs are important. We like victory songs. Then there's the victory dance. Some of you like to dance. I enjoy when people worship and they raise their hand, but I enjoy it even more when people do a little dance when they're worshiping God. If you've ever played football before, whether it was on a team or maybe it was just, tag football, if you score a touchdown, what do? You do a dance, right? And if you've ever watched the NFL, these guys do dances, a lot of dances. They got the funky chicken, they got the worm, they got the squirrel, and now it's the gritty. They all do the gritty. You've seen this, some of them. Yeah, see, I got a clap from a teenager right there. There is victory, song and dance in the Bible. And one guy that sticks out is a pretty important guy, and that's King David. King David knew how to bust a move, let me tell you. I don't know if you know the story or not, but when the Ark of the Covenant was coming to Jerusalem, finally, in the Promised Land, when it was coming, King David took off his royal robes. He didn't get naked, okay? I know people, it says it right there. He had a linen ephod on, okay? So he just took off his royal robes. In 2 Samuel 6, it says that he was dancing and leaping and praising God. That was King David because he was so excited the Ark of the Covenant was coming to Jerusalem. Now his wife, I think she was a little stuck up because she was not happy with his choice of taking off his royal robes. She got mad. There's a whole story, you can read about it in 2 Samuel 6. But to her, King dancing in his tighty whities was not appropriate in front of the servant girls. You're higher than that. But he didn't care. David was like, I'm celebrating before the Lord. This is my victory song and dance. And when God gives you a personal victory, you should celebrate. When God gives you a personal victory, you should dance, you should sing. Doesn't matter if you can't sing on key. Doesn't matter if you got no rhythm. All right? Shut the drapes, close the door, and do your dance and sing your song. You see, I think there's lots of times in the Christian life where we go through the motions. Like that movie Groundhog Day? Same day, over and over again. Well, sometimes it may feel like every Sunday is the same. And you're just going through the motions. The words were up on the screen, but you weren't really thinking about them when you were singing them because your mind was somewhere else. And you're struggling. Your struggles don't seem to go away. Your unholy desires are still lingering. Your failures are still there in front of you. And it's easy to just think, you know what, this is the way it's always going to be. I'm just never going to win. I'm never going to get over the top. I'm always going to wrestle with things like lust. I'm always going to wrestle with greed. I'm always going to hold a grudge. I'm always going to deal with this codependency, my low self-worth, my crummy marriage. I'm never going to see a victory. My life is never going to change. And what we say around here is that's called stinking thinking. We don't like stinking thinking. We want to get rid of it. God wants you to win. He wants to see you victorious. He wants you to sing a victory song and do a victory dance. And this is the truth. This is the truth that you need to know. There's a fundamental difference between the world's victory songs and the church's victory songs. There's a big difference. You see, the world sings how I did it, how I do it, how I and my efforts gain the victory. But the Christian sings how God did it for me. All of these victory songs in the Bible are how God does the victory for us. And I'm convinced most Christians are stuck, constantly struggling because you keep trying to do it yourself. You keep trying to win on your own. And it's not going to happen. It's never going to happen. Paul, the Apostle Paul, knew the key to victory. He tells the church in Corinth, he says, this is what God said to me, my grace is sufficient for you. My power is made perfect in your weakness. Now, nobody wants to hear that because nobody wants to admit that they're weak and they can't overcome it on their own. We just keep trying harder and harder and harder to do it on our own. Whatever it is, whatever your struggle is, whatever your issue is. But Paul is pointing out what God told him is that God's grace is what you need. God's power is what you need. That's made perfect in your weakness. He says, I'll boast all the more gladly then of my weakness because then the power of Christ will come upon me. And when I'm weak, then God is strong. Isn't that beautiful to have that? Listen, I know some of your marriages are on the rocks. I know some of you are not willing to forgive. I know some of you have some vices like pornography or alcohol or drugs, and that's an issue. And I know all of this not because I'm tapping your phones. I know because these are common struggles. These are common struggles, and you're not alone. The evil one, the enemy, wants you to think you're alone, but your struggle is not one of a kind, and I don't want you to keep on struggling. I want to see you win some battles. I want to see you get a victory and do a little dance. And here's the best news. In the end, all Christians are victorious. We are victorious. We win in the end. Yeah, you might lose some battles along the way because you succumb to your unholy desires. But when we get to the end, we win, Christians. We win.